I didn't expect you to come in person, but we still need to follow procedure. The bass you want is not a standard specimen. Our fishermen need to wait for the right moment to catch it. You know the rules, I take it?
Of course.
Oh, well, as you know, timing and location are everything when it comes to fishing. You have to wait till all the conditions are just right. That means the tide, the moon, and the wind. So, let me ask you this. When will the tide come in?
The fishing song will sound out at midnight.
How drunk will the moon be before the party's over?
It won't stop while the Star of Death shines.
I see, yes. Which way will the sea breeze be blowing?
The breeze should be bound for Guyan.
All right, then. Well received. I'll go and make arrangements.
Great. I think that wraps up everything we needed to do in Liyue Harbor. Let's head back and wait for the delivery. I thought we were pretty clear, weren't we? The three people we just met are our business partners. Nay's professional fishmongers and Y's amateur fishmongers are just cover names. The bass, obviously, is the code name for the goods. The numbers of teeth, swim bladders, and scales all represent different specifications. Meanwhile, the conversation I had with the warehouse keeper was the instructions for the deal itself. Let me translate it for you. Tonight at midnight, the deal will take place in Guyan Stone Forest. The Alcor will wait there as long as needed. As for what the actual goods are, well, you'll see tonight. What if I were to say yes? What would you do then? Thank you. But don't worry, everything will be fine. I deeply value you as a friend, but ultimately, you're not with the Crux. I definitely don't want to so rest assured, we haven't broken any laws. At least not today.
Captain Beidou.
Well, my friend is visiting, so I wanted to show him how the Crux handles some of its important business.
I see. You two must be close.
You got that right. Now, down to business. Have you brought the goods?
Yep, all here. Please, feel free to take stock.
Stop! Nobody move! We have received certain information pertaining to a potential illegal business transaction at this location. Apologies, Captain Beidou, but I'm going to need to inspect those goods.
Oh? An illegal business transaction, you say? Well, all the goods are here. If you have any suspicions, please inspect them at your leisure.
Captain, everything's been checked. It's just a bunch of potatoes, flour, and so on. And all the paperwork checks out, too.
Huh?
Everything's been checked thrice over. There's not a single contraband item here. The paperwork was approved by the Ministry of Civil Affairs, and the tax declarations are all in order.
Looks like you've managed to clear everything up.
Yes, apologies. This was a mistake on our end. Come on, let's go.
Bravo, Captain Beidou. This was rather ingenious. Seems like your friend. Well, I'll leave you both to it.
You probably thought that there was some sort of nefarious business going on behind all the secrecy today. The truth is, that was exactly what I wanted the Ministry of Civil Affairs to believe. What you might not know is that I, as the leader of the Crux Fleet, and you, the great hero of Liyue Harbor, have both been on the Ministry of Civil Affairs watch list for a long time. In other words, whenever you or I crop up in Liyue Harbor, it almost always draws their attention. Not that there's any animosity behind it, mind you. In their words, it's a security precaution to prevent people like us from causing unnecessary trouble. Oh, I have no qualms about that. They're just doing their job, keeping the land safe. But how does that saying go again? Ah, yes. Sometimes the closer you are to something, the less you can see. Did you figure it out yet? That's right. Maura Grubber, the accountant. With you, me, and a few sacks of potatoes and flour serving as a front, the deal she's overseeing on her end should go off without a hitch. After all, the Ministry of Civil Affairs sent the Millilith to us. Looking at the time, it should be any second now. Look, that's the signal. Tonight's real deal is officially done. Do you have any more questions? You're right. Never underestimate. She knows that neither you... In any case, there's another high... But I do know that the reason being, I'm the only one who can get her some of the more obscure treasures she wants. It's... All you need to know is that what might be easily attainable for some people can often be a lifesaver for others who can't get their hands on it. That's where we come in. It's as simple as that. You still have some important things to take care of. As long as you don't know what I was referring to, you'll be safe. So, I'm sorry, but I can't tell you for now. Of course, if the day comes when you've traveled to every corner of the world, found your sibling, and neatly tied up all your loose ends along the way, you're welcome to come back here, and I'll tell you all about it. You'll always be welcome in the Crux Fleet. I hope I get to see you on board again someday. If you ever want to trade tactics, I'm always ready. Never quite seem to get my legs back.
Thank you for coming, sir. Please allow me to introduce these two. This is the Traveler, and next to him is his travel companion, Paimon.
Ah, yes, my daughter has mentioned them from time to time. It's a privilege to finally meet them in person. But we may skip all the pleasantries for now. What is the important?
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction record to your attention. There's something on this record that we're all pretty curious about.
So, that's what you found. Huh. Seems like I can't keep everything from you much longer.
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an explanation.
Well, it's a long and difficult story. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. What I do know, though, Dia, is that the truth will bring you no solace. If anything, it will likely cause you a great...
Wait, me?
Yes. I understand perfectly why you came to see me. And I am but knowledge always comes at a price. And sometimes, as they say, ignorance is bliss. Your father, Kusela, and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but I must warn you. The facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand, blowing in the wind. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heartfelt efforts will also fade into the wind like a fleeting...
His heartfelt efforts? I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not sure I follow. I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my father's support. I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to cherish and fight for. None of these things have anything to do with him. I came here today to support you as the head of the Homiyani family. No warning will change my stance on that.
I understand. Then let me tell you a little story. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, a group of passerby Eremites lent us their support. Those Eremites were Kusela's brigade, Dekan al-Ahmar. Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. I was shocked. Why would Dekan al-Ahmar go so far to save us and not spare the fellow Eremites? Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyarzad. She was startled by his unfamiliar face and nearly started crying.
Really? I never knew.
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on us because he had a daughter about the same age. We started talking about our children, and I sensed that he was a devoted father. To repay his kindness, I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time and offered everyone generous remuneration.
So, that's what happened.
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced to a shell of himself. He couldn't even walk anymore without his cane.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine when I left the brigade.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He said there was absolutely nothing to worry about and that he had gotten into a fight. That was all. He then suddenly asked me if Dunyarzad, now that she had grown, would need a bodyguard of her own. At the time, Dunyarzad was going through a particularly severe bout of her Elazar. There was no need for her to have a bodyguard when she could barely leave the house. But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be safe. How do you know a bodyguard won't come in handy one day? I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the Blazing Beasts, and in particular, a mercenary named Dia.
One who recommended Dia to you.
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshra. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able to detach his daughter from the vicious world of mercenary life. If Dia could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually her affinity for the desert would decrease, and she'd be able to leave her previous life behind.
And that's why you offered her such generous compensation?
Yes, but not just because of that. From the moment that he asked me for that favor, I also began to see Dia as my own daughter. And that's also why I tried to pursue. However much it took, Kusela saved my daughter and me all those years ago in the desert. I could never refuse him entrusting his daughter to me.
He was always like that, acting like he's oh so smart and self-righteous.
Kusela said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dia's fees. I refused to take any mora from him, but he'd always sent me funds anyway. Eventually, I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And that went on for a while until I received another letter from him a few years ago. The letter contained a request to help him buy food, weapons, medicine, and even explosive materials.
Wait! Isn't that around the time that the Kano Akhmar started becoming more aggressive?
That's right. When I started to hear some nasty rumors, I became wary. I wanted to meet him face to face to discuss things. But by then, he was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. If I had to guess, it's probably because he doesn't want to put Dia at risk. That thought occurred to me as well. I figured that he probably came to me for help because he had nobody else to turn to. After some deliberation, I decided to send him some. I turned